Howdy, fellow bodies. Welcome to Dise and Bodily's Voice, an audiobooks podcast. I am your host, Dise and Bodily. Today, we are listening to Part 3 of Story's End, written by me, your host. Before I begin, here's a disclaimer. This chapter contains strong adult language. Listener discretion is advised. I am one of the last people shown to my room, which is near the door with the match's scratches on it. Great. The room I had been shoved into was about 10 feet square. Along the left wall was a small metal-framed twin-size bed with white sheets tucked tightly around the mattress. The air smelled firmly of bleach, which I discovered was coming from the sheets. At least I know they're clean, I thought to myself. There was a small armchair on the right side of the room that was a plush, shimmering yellow. It reminded me of my family's cabin built in the 70s. In between these isolated pieces of furniture was a thin, vertical window with thick glass. Adjoined to this sparse room was a powder room with a small, square mirror, the edges of which were speckled black, where the reflective coating behind the glass had oxidized away. The powder room contained a short toilet, a tiny antique sink, the mirror, a gold-colored towel rack, a fluffy white towel, also bleached, and with a white square of soap. The color theme here seems to be mustard yellow and brown, very unpleasant colors for a bathroom. After I dump my backpack on the sitting chair, I thrust open the door and stick my head out into the hall, finding a reprieve from the punchy smell of bleach with an undercurrent of mildew emanating from the powder room. I am hungry because we didn't have breakfast. Our guide seemed to be too preoccupied with being cryptic to tell us where the cafeteria was. When I look around, I notice that the other girls from the bus are doing the same exact thing as me. I catch Tulsa's eyes. Her room was just 2 up the hall from me, in the direction of the ominous door. I wave and step out into the hall, approaching a lady I think is Lauren. Tulsa is right on my heels. Lauren's light brown hair glows slightly in the midday light streaming in through the skylights. You're Lauren, right? She jumps, looking at me with wide eyes until she recognizes me. Then she smiles. Legend is your name, isn't it? She asks, relaxing visibly. I laugh and shake my head. No, it's Story, but I like Legend. I am Legend. I smirk, watching her smile and chuckle. It almost makes me forget about the setting we are in. A horror movie. Sorry, I thought I remembered right. At least I was in the right area. Quick question. Do you know what's going on here? My brow furrows. Tulsa is now by my side, leaning into me a little. Well, it's kind of weird, but maybe they're in the middle of restoration and that's why they have us confined in here. I mean, this place is 150 years old. It's bound to need some upgrades, Tulsa mused, jumping into the conversation. Right. I bet it's for our safety, since we don't know the building very well. Lauren nods, turning her head to smile at Tulsa. I smile in return and pat Tulsa's arm. Tulsa, this is Lauren. Lauren, this is Tulsa, I declare, putting an arm around Tulsa's shoulder. Tulsa exchanges greetings, then changes the subject. I'm creeped out by the gashes in the door and stuff, but how about we talk about the absolute hottie that is Charlie? My smile falters for a moment, but I shake it off and feign a smile. He carries the vibe that our sales bro drags along behind him, but with the sickening twist of being a rodeo guy. Who does rodeo in fucking New York? I interject, talking over the 2 girls with me who are fangirling over the hulking dickhead. Not him, replies Tulsa, a mischievous glint in her eye. His belt buckle said, Colorado Stampede champion. Believe me, I know a belt buckle. Oh, well, that clears that up, I mutter, dejected. As the two of them gab, Tulsa drifts away from my arm, and their conversation drifts away too. I couldn't be less interested in men right now. Right now, I'm more focused on the blonde ghost that was hovering near the bleached curtains that hung over the windows. Weird how everything is bleached here. Nobody else seemed to notice her. Hey, am I crazy, or is that a ghost? I ask, nodding in her direction and glancing at my companions. When we all looked back at the curtains, the woman by them was gone, though the curtains swayed as though someone had been there. Guess you're crazy then, Tulsa joked, playfully jostling me. I have my door open so I can hear other people in the hall. It makes me feel better having just seen what I assumed to be a ghost. They brought us lunch. It was Velveeta mac and cheese. The empty paper bowl sat in the middle of the floor. Weirdly, there wasn't even a trash can in the room, or powder room, for that matter. I scribbled down my last thoughts in my journal, which is good timing because I feel a breeze enter the room. I look up and jump. The ghost was leaning against the corner by the door, just to the right of the bathroom door, with her arms crossed over her chest. Fun fact, the ghost began. I stared, not daring to blink. If I do, she will disappear like she had before. If you don't want to die, do not open your door tonight. Or the next. Just saying. Okay, bye. The ghost chirped coolly, then pushed away from the wall and started to walk out the door. Impulsively, I leaped from my chair, letting my journal clatter to the floor. Before I really thought about it, I reached out, and my hands clasped firmly around her wrist. My mouth drops open. You're real, I gasp, pulling her back into the room. How forward. Your bed is too small for my style, though, the woman burbled flirtatiously. Her hair bobbed as she regained her balance. I frowned. What the fuck are you talking about? On both accounts, are you implying that there is hazing at the school? And are you further implying that you thought my intention of pulling you back into my room was to fuck and not to ask for clarification on the rather alarming and cryptic message you just delivered? I ranted. I could feel my face getting burning hot. I was fed up with this weird little game the school was playing with my head. The ghost, not ghost, shrugged and confidently fell backwards onto my bed. It squeaked and groaned in the way an old bed should. You see, the questions thing is exactly why I don't bother trying to help people, she said, closing her eyes peacefully. I raised an eyebrow, unamused, and stepped in front of the door, crossing my arms over my chest, doing my best to mimic my mom when she meant business about me lying to her face. It was never about, hazing or ghosts or anything, but about the usual things teenagers get up to. Weed, sneaking out, not responding to texts, that sort of thing. God, jeez, okay, no fucking, I get it. No need to get all huffy about it. She waved her hand dismissively, then tucked her arms behind her head like a pillow. I rolled my eyes, making sure it was seen. Great. Now that we cleared that up, what about this hazing? I press, gritting my teeth. The guest yawned. I can't tell you specifics. It ruins the point of the thing. But I'm just saying, if you don't open your door at night, you may make it another day here. That's it? That's the grand message? I growl, taking a step forward. The ghost girl smiled, looking quite pleased with herself. Yep, that's it. Who the hell are you anyway? I demanded, bristling even more with indignation. I and several others could come to serious harm or something, and this maniac is treating the situation like it's no big deal. My name's Katana, or Kit, or Kitty for very special people. Kit sat up, then stood, straightening her gray jumpsuit. She strode over to me, quite unafraid of my act, and leaned so that her cheek grazed mine. You can call me Kitty if you want, she whispered flirtatiously. Kit stood taller than me by about 4 inches. Why is everyone taller than me? I stepped back, dropping my hands to my sides. And who are you? She asked in a silky tone, staring into my eyes. Hers were an electric blue, a deep primal feeling ignited in my gut, the one that tells you to run, fight, or fuck. I was having a difficult time distinguishing which one was the most urgent at this very moment. I wanted to completely dodge this shady experience, punch everyone who was telling me half-truths, and maybe kiss Kit? She was attractive by general standards and pleasant to look at, though her bearing was unsettling. I wasn't one to make romantic choices based on appearances in any case. My name is Story Wilson, I said, narrowing my eyes at Kit, hoping she didn't hear my voice waver. She smirked and backed away. I'll call you Legend if you manage to make it here. Kit abruptly surged forward and grabbed me by the shoulders with force and picked me up with a small grunt, moving me out of the way of the exit like an old rug in the way in a garage. I am flabbergasted. The audacity! Thanks for the lovely chat, but I really must be going, Kit said in a mock English accent. As she walked out the door, she turned. Remember, don't open the door. I opened my mouth for another question. Then Katana chirped, "Okay, bye," and scampered off with a coy wave. I tried to follow her into the hall, but she was gone, vanished out of thin air, just as she had appeared. Was all that some Velveeta-induced hallucination? Were the flumes from the bleach driving me kooky? I leaned out the door and gripped the doorframe, searching the clutter of people in the hall for Tulsa. I knew for a fact she was real, and she had cold hands. I needed cold hands about now. My face was still red and hot from that encounter with Katana. What did she mean by make it past the second night? Tulsa wound up in my room a while later. She listened as I recounted the encounter with Katana, the ghost lady. I haven't been here long, but I feel like my grip on reality is fucking slipping already. I ramble, pacing up and down the length of the room. My door was closed. I didn't want the other girls to think that I was cracked. I'm not. I'm just trying to understand. If nobody else is freaking out now, then they should be. Tulsa shifted. I have something to confess. Okay, multiple things, actually. I stopped pacing. Please don't tell me you're a figment of my imagination. I'm pretty sure I am real. Last time I checked, anyway. Tulsa laughed nervously, then continued. I am actually really freaked out about all this. You're right. Something isn't right. I'm afraid of being alone, especially after what you told me just now. My gaze softens. Thank God, I thought you were gonna say something completely insane. I sigh, sitting down next to Tulsa on my bed, relieved. I know we kind of just met, but I am glad I have a friend. It makes all of this only slightly less awful. Tulsa laughed. Tell you what was awful, that mac and cheese. Jesus H. Christ, does no one know how to cook in here? We laughed again. Then Tulsa reached over and grabbed my hand. As I have come to expect in the short time we have known each other, her hand was as cold as metal outside on a snow day. Hey, I don't want to be weird, but I would feel better if I wasn't alone tonight. Me too, I admit, breathing a sigh of relief. Want to have a sleepover? I offer, looking over and smiling hopefully at my new friend. I begin to brush my teeth, letting the water run into the sink as I did so. The minty foam relieved me of the tomatoey aftertaste of pizza. I sigh in content and close my eyes to spit, rinsing the toothbrush before I straighten to look in the mirror. I drop the toothbrush in the sink and yelp, because behind me stands another person. I whirl around and back myself up against the sink in terror. I'm not sure what to do. I had no weapons, and my phone was behind the armchair, and nowhere to go in this tiny powder room. The shadow reaches to the side with a familiar cackle and flicks on the bedroom light. which flickers on slowly. The shadow is only Tulsa. I relax. You scared me! I boom. The acoustics in this bathroom make me sound 5 times my size. I pick up my toothbrush and slide it into the porcelain holder attached to the sink. Sorry, I didn't think you were going to be so jumpy, Tulsa says, stepping away from the doorway. She had her bag with her, which reminded me that our suitcases were never brought to our rooms. It's all good. I'm a little on edge, I hiss as I shuffle past her. I hope she hasn't been watching me the whole time, though I distinctly remember only seeing myself in the mirror when I started brushing my teeth. I think we all are, Tulsa shrugs, sprawling on the floor, seeming completely at ease. I pause. She was right about that. I stand by her, looking down at her quizzically. You aren't gonna sleep on the floor, are you? Tulsa looks around the room. Well, there isn't anywhere else to sleep. No way I am letting you sleep on the floor. I'll sleep in the armchair. Tulsa frowns. Are you sure? Oh, yeah, absolutely. My watch beeped a couple times, causing me to check it. It's nearly 8. Do you have everything you need from your room? Tulsa dug around in her bag, then smiled, seeming satisfied. Yep, all here. Just then, an unfamiliar voice called out into the hall. Lights out. 1 minute. I shuffled to the door, poking my head out. To the left, the door with gouges, and to the right, the rest of the hall. Some doors were open, some closed. I wonder if anyone else was warned. I should have asked at dinner. They'll be fine. It's just hazing. I closed the door and locked it for safety's sake, though if someone really wanted to get in, they'd only need to give it a hefty shove with their shoulder. That Charlie guy could manage it if he was so inclined. The thought made my stomach turn, but I clenched my teeth and turned around, finding Tulsa now sitting on the bed. She had her phone out, and she seemed to be texting. Oh man, I forgot to text Brantley. I bound to my phone that was charging behind the chair and opened it. I had missed several calls and texts. Weird. It shows that I have been missing calls and texts, but I've been listening to music on my phone since lunch. There's no way I missed them, I explained, gesturing to my phone. Tulsa looked up, looking perplexed. Me too. My mom has been trying to reach me all day. Are your texts going through? I shook my head. No, they all say undelivered, but I have service. Suddenly, all the lights went out. I didn't think they meant it was literally lights out, I mused aloud, standing up and closing my phone. Through the door, I could hear other girls calling out, talking to each other. Some seemed to be in good humor, and others sounded panicky. Tulsa moves in the dark, and I feel her breeze past me. I hear her hand on the doorknob. Wait, don't open it! I bark, running to her and grabbing her shoulders, gently pulling her away from temptation. We don't know what Kit meant by what she said, but just to be sure, we shouldn't open the door. I let Tulsa go, and she nods. You're right, it's probably nothing, but I don't want to die any faster than I already am. I don't know if I should laugh or not. I didn't feel like laughing. I forgot about the MS thing. I don't think I asked what music you like, Tulsa says with a sigh. I hear the bed creak again. Thank God she changed the subject. I like... A high-pitched scream sounded from the hall, and I stiffened, holding my breath, staring at my bedroom door as if I could see through it and the blackness. What was that? I whispered breathlessly, shifting noiselessly away from the door. Another scream. A thick sheet of ice balled up in my stomach, making that pizza from earlier start to feel more like a bowl of live worms. Hello? Was the echoed phrase. At least 5 different panicked voices said it over and over. The panic seemed to escalate with each unanswered query. One said, "Turn the lights back on. This isn't funny." I blink and draw closer to Tulsa. Her hand reaches out for mine. and she pulls me down to sit next to her on the bed. She seems as mesmerized by the commotion as I am. But is she as scared as I am? My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it pulsing in my temples, though my breathing is calm and measured. Blessings of being a runner, I suppose. Thank you for listening to part 3 of Story's End. If you liked what you've heard, please like, comment, and subscribe. And join me next time to hear part 4 of Story's End. This will be the final part released before we take a break to read Little Red. A trailer for Little Red will come out in place of the regularly scheduled chapter release after part 4. Be sure not to miss any future releases by ringing the notification bell. I am your host, Dise M. Bodily. Have a good evening.